Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Faren, I'm your fashion guru, and today we're going to be talking about how to properly read a commercial pattern. I've actually had a lot of requests for this video and I've wanted to do this video for a really long time, so I'm really excited to get into it. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe down there and hit the little bell so you can get notifications for another video. Grab your patterns and let's get started. So this is my fashion studio. My name is Faren. Okay, the first thing you'll need to know before you get to picking out your pattern is to take your body measurements. This is something that I'm going to be doing a bit later, so stay tuned for that video. I'm going to get more into detail on how to properly take your measurements. After you've taken your measurements, next is picking a style. So within an envelope, they have many different variations of the same style. It really is just following the letter that corresponds to the style that you want to pick. Make sure that the envelope is the proper size for your measurements. There are a few different sizes within the envelope, so just make sure that the size range matches your body measurements or within the range of your body measurements. Turn to the back of your envelope. You will see that the body measurements are at the top here. So this is something very important to note, that sewing sizes are completely different than retail sizes. That is considered vanity sizing. Sewing sizes are the real sizing from standard sizing from back in the day, and those haven't changed very much. Don't get too overwhelmed about you being a big number. I'm usually about a 12 or a 14, and in retail size I'm usually about a 6 or an 8. That kind of gives you an example of really the difference between sewing sizes and retail sizes. The important part is following your body measurements, okay? So it says it gives you the bust, waist, hip, and the back length on this pattern. Some other patterns go a little further into detail, if it's a jacket or a coat or something. If we are picking D, we want to do view D here. So we want to do this little teddy, and we want to make the kimono of B. So we would go here and we would just look under view D, under the body measurements, which would be a size medium. This envelope is technically a medium. Okay, there is a lot of information on the back of this envelope. So one of the things, other than your body measurements, you will need to know is the width of your fabric, okay? So even just before that, you have to pick your fabric according to the suggested fabrics on your pattern. Okay, so you'll see down here, it says suggested fabrics. So it says soft cottons, crepe de chine, lightweight crepe back satin. It also has charmeuse and a tricot. So once you've found the fabrics that you would like to use for the style that you've picked, you need to determine what the length or the width of your fabric is, okay? So the width of the fabric is shown here. So there's 45 inches, which is pretty standard, 45 inch or 58 to 60 inches, okay? So those are pretty standard. You just have to know the width of your fabric in order to get the length that you're going to need to buy at the store. Under size medium, you'll see that if our goods are 45 inches wide, we need 2 3/8 yards, okay? If your fabric shrinks, so like a cotton or a rayon, I suggest taking about 1/4 of a yard more, just to be safe. Once you've done that, you need to go down to the notions side of your pattern, which is way down here at the bottom. It says notions, so obviously thread, we'll need some thread. If you're doing the robe A, you would need some double-edged lace, they call for. If you're doing view B, like me, I don't need lace. It's just in the pattern, like the banding is using the self fabric, okay? So once you've done that, I highly suggest opening up your pattern and looking at the instructions. The instructions show all the technicals here for the front and back. And then they also have the pieces, and they have the pieces labeled with numbers down here, which correspond to your pieces that you're going to be cutting out for your pattern pieces. Okay, so also take note of your pattern markings. I mean, just are pretty standard, your grain line, your fold line, your cut line, and your seam line. Standard seam allowance for commercial patterns are 5/8 of an inch, okay? So just take note of that all seam allowance are included in your patterns unless otherwise stated. When you pull out your pattern, you'll see notches and circles. Notches are for matching your pattern pieces, and it basically tells you what pieces go where. Circles, on the other hand, are not notches, okay, and should not be cut. Circles are just indications where you need to stop and start sewing. You'll also see under the pattern markings, once you look at your pattern, you'll see the finished garment measurement symbols. It basically just shows you a measurement with 2 arrows on your pattern. This measurement is the body measurement plus the garment ease, okay? So how much room you're going to have around your body. So that measurement is the flat measurement it's going to be when it's finished sewing. Insider tip here, okay? Always check the front pattern piece for these measurements. It's always good to check these measurements because you could actually go down a size based on these finished garment measurements if you want something to fit a little bit closer to your body. Another thing you'll see on your instructions is the cutting layouts. I discussed this in another video, the importance of these layouts. These cutting layouts, they show you how to properly place your pattern pieces. These could also be very important for saving fabric in the long run. Also, if you have a fabric that has nap, they have cutting layouts for just fabrics with nap, okay? And I discussed fabric with nap in another video, so go check out that video. Let's move on to the actual pattern, okay? This is something that might be very important for people that are very tall and that are very short. So according to your body measurements, they have dotted lines on the pattern where you can lengthen your pattern and where you can shorten your pattern. This is actually a very good guide for you because they have a few different points on your pattern. If it's a very long pattern, like a pair of pants, then they have a few different spots on your pattern where you can shorten or lengthen it. This magazine is basically a library of patterns. If we were to pick this camisole here, you'll see that, okay, this book is in Italian, but Burda is pretty standard in every language. So as you can see, the pattern number is 105, A and B. If you go to the instructions, which is right here, 105A, and then you have also B, which is very similar. And 106 is where you'll find, it's very similar to the 105 pattern. You'll see all the size chart here. Each dotted line indicates a different size. If you know that you're a size 36, then you follow this dotted line. This is where you're gonna find your pattern on the big paper. So under A, you're gonna see that 1 to 3 is your pattern pieces and 5. Okay, so slightly complicated, but we're gonna go through it. Here we're on page A, and we see number 2. Number 2 is here. This pattern piece is the back of the camisole. If you go here, you'll see number 1. So this is the front of the camisole. You'll also see that there's number 5, number 3, and number 4. If you were size 36, you would be following this dotted line all the way around your pattern. Once you found your corresponding letter and number, and you found your pattern within the confusing lines on here, you take your tracing paper. Make sure that you're tracing out the correct line, the dotted line that corresponds with your measurements, as well as the darts, and making sure that you are indicating all of your notches, drill holes, and also your grain lines. Check back with the instructions in your book to make sure that you're cutting out all the pieces that you need within the pattern. And also indicate that number on your pattern pieces. After you've cut out all of your pieces, next you'll be ready to prep your fabric. In order for you to do that, check this video right here. It is an instructional video that helps you learn how to stretch your fabric and find your grain line. Afterwards, you can learn how to cut it out. In my favorite video, cut it out right here. Listen, if you have any questions, please let me know in the comments below. That's it for me today. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. This is your fashion guru signing off. See, making sure. Just make sure.